My parents brought me up literally with nature, and there was some very strong moments in my youth where every year we would go to France, and then always one night my dad would take us all out into the fields, and we would only bring these very thin mattresses, and we would put them in the field, and I would be the youngest one, so I would lay in between my parents on the one side and then my brothers on the other side, and it would slowly start to cool down. The noises would change in nature, and we would spend the whole night in nature. This was like as simple as it was. Like, it was by far the most exciting thing that we would do on these trips. And I think that feeling of being out in the open, in nature, sleeping in nature, but also feeling protected at the same time by my family. But I also think like Anna can have that role. The layers, the protection is at hand. Like, any moment you feel unsafe, you can close a layer. And I think that's a very important role for Anna, feeling safe to make that connection with nature. When my father died, when I was 21, it was an incredible dent in my picture of reality. And that was a moment that I was longing so much to ground myself again, that I started to find that connection in nature. That connection actually helped me to deal with this, to also understand that no matter what happens in life, you are connected to everything around you. I just love these mornings here. And then the first thing I'll do is opening up the outer shell. I called the cabin Anna after my mother, because she was the first person I built the cabin for, because she supported me always. Thanks to her, this cabin is here. But also the first cabin was designed in a symmetric way with 2 wooden parts and 2 glass parts. So it was A, N, N, A. So literally the cabin was already spelling out her name. The first cabin I built for my mother, and took me 10 months to build. I managed to build another prototype and another one. And actually what we're sitting in right now is the 10th Anna, which is quite symbolic. And so it's the result of 9 prototypes. Everything we learned from the prototypes that we're also renting out. So people are sleeping there every night and they give us all feedback, and we've started to redesign the whole thing and turn it into what it is today. You can perfectly have this place as your first house. Like, you don't need another house. You can live in this place, you can grow old in this place, you can die in this place, and you don't need anything else. What immediately pops out here is the long elongated windows that, together with the protruded roof edge, always keep out the direct sunlight. So making sure that the space doesn't heat up in the summer. But in the winter, this shell actually does the opposite, because it's fully insulated and it serves as a thick, warm blanket to actually keep the heat inside. So now let's have a look on the inner layer. This one is made completely in double glass. You can imagine the amount of weight that is put on the structure. And that's why we also did a lot of work on these trusses. They consist actually of 3 different materials. There's Accoya wood on the outside, there's birch ply on the inside, and also, which you can't see, there's aluminum on the inside. Due to the combination of the 3 different materials, the whole construction doesn't expand in different weather conditions, which is actually very important to make sure that the sliding is always seamless. There's another thing which I think is actually a super nice detail in the cabin, is these dry connections. First of all, it's great because we don't use any glue, but also because we can take them apart. After 5 or 10 years, you could actually move the cabin to another place. So this 2,500 kilo weighing section is then supported by this bottom truss, which is made out of aluminum and contains double bearing industrial wheels. But what is actually the most exciting part about these rails is that it has a sliding wind labyrinth inside. And this wind labyrinth makes sure that even when there's strong wind outside, very strong wind, there will be no wind inside. So it keeps everything outside. And there's another reason it's important, because if there would be a storm, this whole section is anchored. It can never fly away. So when you open the inner shell, I think it's always the most beautiful moment, because that is the moment when you literally pull nature in. Just sitting here and there's a fierce rain shower, or there's thunderstorms, and you just sit under the glass and you experience them. In that sense, almost like a magnifying glass that you can inhabit to experience all these crazy little details in nature that happen all day, which almost every day you don't experience at all. Like there's this whole incredible theater non-stop every day. Like the strangest, the most beautiful, the most incredible things are happening. The cabin moves with nature. We managed to turn it from a concept, which was a dream, into a cabin that we can now actually build in a mountain, at the sea, on the beach. It's my dream for Anna to create a network of Annas around the world. A network that becomes a catalog of all the beautiful locations that we have. So almost to be able to see the world through the eyes of Anna. So now that we've opened up the cabin, I'd like to tell you something about the interior. There's the wood stove here, which can also be connected to the boiler for hot water. There's a bath under the floor. And this bed can also be stored in the floor, which makes the space completely flexible. And so you can change it actually according to your mood, the occasion, and the weather. So now we move on to the fixed part of the cabin, which houses a fully equipped modern kitchen with a fridge and a lot of storage. There's additional storage here for clothing, for boots. We have a mirror here, and there's actually a dining table stored in here. And then we have the shower here. And on the other side there's the toilet. To top it off, up here we have the mezzanine with a second bed. So it fits 2 people. We have a safety net here. I think it's a very cozy space. So this is what I call the bonus layout, where we swapped now the glass layer and the wooden layer. The outdoor terrace, fully insulated, becoming now an indoor floor, creating one big 50 square meter indoor living space. The feeling you have when you wake up in nature, with the sounds, the smells, the feeling of the wind, is just like, is absolutely magical. Nature is, to me, always my first home. And that's also something that I hope that Anna will help feel for people who maybe haven't felt that before. That you can actually feel nature as your first home.